All right, so actually, I got Ninja Turtles on the PS4, and it was weird. I was playing the game, and I was hoping that I put an open invite on it pretty much, and barely anybody came in. Like people would like jump in there, and then they would dip out, and I was like, "What the heck, man?" So I didn't really get that good experience playing Ninja Turtles. I mean, like we did that weekend, Oh, wow. So it was kind of like
this was after you got it.
Well, after
we played it.
After we played, yeah, because I got it on PS4, and I was like, man, like. It's kind of weird playing the whole thing like solo. I mean, like I said, I had two people join me, or one person join me, but it's just like then they dropped out. I was like, what the heck, man? I thought everybody's supposed to be on this. So it is what it is, but it still was a pretty good experience. But I wanted to ask you, Kag Man, so you just really recently sold your Switch collection, and we've always talked about like how like buying games is pretty much an investment and everything like that. Like, how did you feel like selling that collection, man? Did you really want to? I mean,
so with the Switch collection, it was kind of hard with that one because I was looking at it and there were so many games that I haven't opened. So I had over about 300 games, and out of those 300 games, more than half, I would say probably about 70% of them were still sealed. And, I had just bought them. Okay. They were still sealed. Then I had some that were open that I still didn't play. So yes, it was. I did look at it as an investment, but the thing is a huge collection I just was not playing. It was just sitting there, and then I just got into just buying and buying and buying and not really playing, which kind of.
Well, what was the final straw to kind of make you feel like, hey, man, this is too much? Like you just wanted.
So I was getting ready to move. So we are moving. Our whole family were switching homes, and I looked at the Switch collection during boxing stuff up and everything, and I was just like, this is just a collection that is just sitting here. I can just get rid of it because literally I'm not playing it. It's just, I was just collecting. I got caught into the cycle of collecting for the Switch to just collect, it seems like, and then not playing them. If you look at a collection of 300 games and you got like 70% of the games you have not touched, like literally never even broke the plastic on them. And this is the current gen, right? This isn't like an old gen. This is current gen. And I'm not playing them. It was just like, hey, unfortunately, it's time to just move on if I'm not going to play it.
Well, you think about it like this too, man, because you may not play it immediately, but your intent is to play it at some point, and it's nice to know that it's in your collection. One of the worst things I know, at least I feel, is like when you want a game and all of a sudden it's unavailable in the format you want it. Like most of us try to buy physical. I know Joel's mostly like digital now, but it kind of sucks. You have to go out there and hunt for it. You go to a secondhand seller, play more than what it's worth, So it's nice to just have a game in your collection. When you want to get to it, it's there. But at the same time, you start doing that with every game. You know what I mean? So I mean, it kind of sucks, man, because like me, every game is opened, but as I've collected more, the collection is pretty much built. And I say I played every game, but I haven't really beat everything yet, like I normally would. It just becomes a lot. And I don't know if this FOMO existed, we talked about this before on one of our last videos, but man, I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like I want to get it before it becomes more expensive. That's one of the things I have about it. But at the same time, as you get older, you start to realize like, man, these games are going to be discounted, I mean, especially if you go the digital route. The digital route, I feel like that's, I mean, I hate to say this, man. I know I'm gonna get killed in the comments.
Say it.
Digital is the future, man. It's like, man, you're gonna, especially for us, man. We don't have to like buy games day one, like you know what I mean, like everybody else. It's like we can just like wait for it to be discounted and play it like that and be good. I mean, sometimes we don't want to jump up and pop in a new disc or a cartridge. Just have it on the hard drive and be good to go. It's just like, man, it's just
when it comes to the Switch though, another thing that made me decide to get rid of the collection, and just let everybody know, when I got rid of the collection, I took a huge hit on it because I didn't care. I never looked at that collection to try to come up on it. The value of that collection when I did price charting and everything was like almost $9,000. And I'm going to be open with you guys. I sold it to a local game store here in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, for $5,000. Just wanted it out of my collection. Gone. Took a loss. Do I care? Not at all. That's how I'm indifferent about it. I really am.
If it's not hurting you, then it's okay.
Now,
if it's
another
a game
reason,
store, though, I'll say you probably got more than most game stores would give you. You got a little over half.
Yeah.
Most game stores don't give you that. I mean, I'm talking mom and pop.
Yep.
Don't even think about GameStop.
Right.
That's $20 right there.
Looking at the Switch collection too. Another thing that prompted me to get rid of it and not really feel any different about it is because I would say 70% of the games I had on the Switch was remasters that I already own on Xbox or PlayStation. Like a lot of those games were done on the other consoles that I already own, and I was just owning them for portability. So am I going to miss a lot of them? No, because I can play them elsewhere. I already own them elsewhere. The only things that I would potentially miss is obviously the Nintendo exclusives, like Zelda and stuff like that.
Right.
Will I be able to play that later on? Yeah, I still have my Switch. I just don't have any of the games anymore. So I have some digital games on the Switch. I just don't have the actual games anymore. But when I look at it, even when I look at my other collection, I need to focus more on completing the stuff that I have now and slow down on purchasing, because it's crazy to have, out of 300 games, I say 170 of them or more were sealed. So that just tells me I could have bought those games years down the line and saved a crap ton, because Switch games run $60. So if I would have waited now obviously the Nintendo games don't drop, as the farthest I've ever seen them drop down is 35. So you'll save, a little less than half.
That's like 35 digitally. That's not physically.
But also that's retail, bro. Okay, because you can jump on OfferUp, you could jump on Whatnot. Instead of buying all the games that come out day one on for $59. But let's say you get to that day like, man, you know what? I never completed Twilight Princess. I need that. You could probably go on OfferUp and buy it for, cheaper or something,
I agree. And that really went into it, Joel, because I really had to make myself change the way that I thought. Now, this is going back to the last video we did about the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Oh, I was so caught up in that. My collection is the fear of missing out. If you look at it, it was me buying things because I was like, I don't want to lose this trophy. I don't want to lose this. If you look at behind me, those statues, I bought those because those are limited statues and I wanted to have them in my collection. I didn't want to lose them, right? So when it came to the Switch, now you guys notice, everybody watching doesn't notice, but Reggie and Joel and X, I went from about 5 Switch games in October of 2021 to over 300 Switch games in June of 2022.
You was at 300?
Oh, man.
I was at 300. Yeah, the post, it was 300 games from less than a year. I went from October of 2021, right before this past Christmas, to now I had 300 games, from like 5 to 300.
As friends, we should have stepped in and took Kag's wallet away from him. We didn't step up as friends.
I didn't think nothing of it because, I understand how Kag feels about it and everything. For me personally, I don't get a lot of AAA titles for the Switch. I get like mostly indie games. So these games are like probably $30 to $40 and everything. So not really in AAA titles for me. But at the same time, I felt like it was an investment. So I wasn't really like thinking of it like that. Kag knows what he's doing. And, you didn't even have to sell the collection. You could have kept it and everything. But I understand how you felt, because like when you're moving and you don't want to move a bunch of stuff, you're like, oh man, I've been touching stuff. Let's get this out of here. I don't feel like dealing with it. So, I get that. But I always loved how you always kind of like showed us like, taught us like, hey, like games always increase in value usually. So it's an investment when you hold on to that stuff. So,
and I still feel firmly on that, Reggie. Yeah. Like when it comes to like physical, and no, don't get me wrong, I'm physical when it comes to all my retro stuff. It's just, to me, it felt like with the Switch collection, if I ever want to get it, it will be there because it's a current gen system, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's really going to disappear the games or anything like that.
Yeah, this isn't Wii U or like a TurboGrafx 16.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And then with my big fear about digital is that you hear all the horror stories.
Yes.
Of you losing access to your content. Our friend John just lost access to his Switch stuff because of a mistake, right? So. And then you hear they delisted what game was that? Double Dragon on the 360. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the 360 was delisted. You couldn't access it even though you paid for it. So my mind.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. And my mind was always, I'm gonna go physical. I'll always have it, no matter what. I'll always have it. So I still will go physical with a lot of things. I just won't go heavy like I did with the Switch.
Well, when it comes to digital, man, I feel like Joel, I mean, I follow your example here, man. When it's on sale, boom, buy it and everything. I think I'll be a little bit impulsive when to buy something digital. If you guys are going to play a game together, like if we're all going to play as a group, then I'll probably buy it day one, possibly. But for the most part, when it comes to digital, I feel like since you can't get anything out of it besides playing the game and enjoying it, I want to get it as cheap as possible. So I'm usually very patient about that. So I feel, and I said this before on the channel, man, and say it again, but digital is the future. The way things are going, especially I really started to realize it when PlayStation 5 was announced, when they showed what it looked like and they announced it next to the digital system. I said, wow, that's bold. But I know what they're planning, and I know what's really happening. I mean, next generation is going to be all digital. And to my next point, the PS5 is going to be the last system I mainly collect for. And for this system, because the hard drive space is so small, I only have I'm only planning on getting a few games for it. There's something I really want, something very exclusive, something that really utilizes the system. They still have games coming out on PS4 and PS5 on the same system. I'll get the PS4 version instead of the PS5 version because it's not worth taking up the space on my PS5 because space is minimal. But I really feel like I don't know. I think that's going to be it for me. I'll go back and collect some retro stuff, but it's going to plateau. I would say the PS5 generation. I'm not going to go past that. Everything past that will be digital, so I'm not really worried about it. So that's where it ends for me, I would say. I don't know how you guys feel.
If you look at last year, hold on, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you look at last year, this number is going to be shocking, but you can easily access it. Last year in 2021, 70% of PlayStation sales were digital. So what is that telling you? Like the top selling console where the majority of people play at this moment, their digital sales were 70% of their sales. So we're in that swing. We're fighting it. People are trying to fight it with companies that, strictly limited and limited games and all the, they're trying to focus on like physical stuff in a sense. But you're right, Reggie. That's where we're going. We're going digital. And I don't think we can really stop that.
Yeah. The way they digital was a blessing in disguise when it first came out during I want to say that was the 7th generation PS3, Xbox 360. PS3. Yeah, it was great. But then, I don't know, they started doing certain practices, and then people started going with those practices, and then they say, oh, we could get away with this. Let's see what else we could do. It was crazy. Now people are all about digital. They don't really, well, at least the newer generation doesn't care about physical. And, I kind of understand, but at the same time, I like having, a nice little library that I can go to and pick out certain games and memories, nostalgia, pretty much.
Yeah,
right.
That's the main thing. Digital, you can't really. I guess you could look at a library of games on the screen and keep swiping right or whatever like that. And, I remember when I played this game back then, but you can't hold it, you can't do any of that stuff with it. That's it. But
that's the problem with the gaming companies today is they're playing off of people's nostalgia. They're re-releasing all these games for
like Ninja Turtles,
large amounts of money, right? And they play off people's nostalgia, and man, people are going for it. And when I got several things to say, when Kag was buying all those games, I was like, Kag, bro, you got a problem, man. I did step up.
He did say that. Yeah.
I was like, Kag, man, that's a lot. That is a large amount of games in a small amount of time. And I don't think, and I honestly don't think because he sold his Switch that he has to stop buying Switch games, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, here's the thing, and Reggie's really, really good at this. He knows what games to buy that will be collector's items later. We've been gaming for so long. We have so much knowledge. We know what's going to rise in value. I know right away. I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy this because, you know, in 2 years, it's going to double its value. Mm-hmm. But when you're just buying every Switch game at $59 and you think it's an investment, it is not an investment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things you're going to be able to buy for $14 later. Mm-hmm. That's when you buy it, and then it's an investment. If you buy it at $59, all the titles, no. But if you're a collector and you got a collector's mindset, like Reggie does, he's really good at getting these really rare games. Those are an investment. That's when it's an investment, you know? And I think, yes, I believe that digital time is coming to an end. I work with a lot of young people in the film industry. When we talk about games, they don't even know that there's a physical release of a game.
Correct.
For them, they've grown up with iTunes. They grew up in a store, and that's how they purchased that song. They don't know the days of walking in, getting a CD player, getting a CD or getting a record, taking it home, reading the lyrics. They don't know none of that. Wow, all they know is digitally. So a game isn't released unless it's on the store. If a game only got physical release, they would never even know it existed, dude. It's so crazy how the tides have turned, man. And I just think that like even if like the ones that the digital games that get taken away are so few and far between. Like if you think about all the digital games that are released in a day, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's crazy how many games are out there. And then we can think of like, oh, DuckTales. We can think of the Ninja Turtles and 3. There's a handful of games that have been taken off, right? It's not crazy. And honestly, you can get all those games again through emulation. Right. You know what I mean? If you're John and you got screwed by Nintendo because someone said a stupid word during a chat and someone banned you and you lost your whole account, screw Nintendo, go emulate all of those. Like, who cares? You can emulate every single Switch game if that's the route you go. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying if Nintendo has some booty practices and they kick you off for some dookie reasons, you should be able to go and emulate their stuff. Like, hey, you want to screw me? I'll screw you. But you know what? Eye for an eye, sucker. I'm just playing, but I'm being devil's advocate too.
Get ready, Nintendo.
But what I'm saying is it's like everything, and as a collector in this day and age, as a collector, if you really want to buy something, you really want to own something, you go to eBay. As crazy as that is, it's not like back in the day where, man, it was so hard to get this game, I better buy it now. No, you can buy anything right now at the tip of your finger. Yeah, so I think as a collector, you have eBay, you have all those ways to get stuff now. You don't need everything right now, you know. But and as a if you're just a gamer, there's so many ways now to emulate these things. There's remakes, there's the digital aspect of everything. It's like, and the only thing I wish digital needs to catch up on this, right? Because the brilliance of digital and why companies are going digital, and the excuse they always use is because of it's cost effective. They don't have to send it to the store. They don't have to put it in a box. They don't have to put it on a disc or a cart, right? But you're going to still charge me $59 day one when that thing comes out? Man, you guys got to get your mind right. Digital copies on day one need to be half off at least. Yeah. Than a physical. If we're paying for the physical, let us pay for the physical. That's fine. Yep. And you'll make your money back. But dude, there's got to be a little bit, and I understand they got to pay the company, they got to pay these people. But if you're saving money, but you're still charging the same, something's not working out. The gamers are getting screwed.
Yeah, you know, and
that's the problem.
You're right, Joe, with that, because in the retail side of it, when a company like Walmart or Best Buy or whoever goes and buys games from the developer, they're not paying $60 per game because they're buying them in mass quantity, right? They're paying usually around 42 or 38 is what it would say. When I worked in retail, it would tell you the cost the company paid for the game so that you can adjust it when it goes on sale, right? So they were spending between $42 and $38 for like a million or more copies or whatever, right? So if you can drop that to sell tons of copies to a retailer, then you can drop it digitally, right? There's no excuse. So
exactly
the way I feel, if a
even
game
more
is $59, I'm okay spending $39 for a new release hot title.
Mhm.
29 would be awesome, but 30.
What about AAA titles though?
Like,
But it should be bundled.
That's a AAA title.
It should be bundled with DLC if you're buying it brand new, like the first week. You should not have to piece that crap out afterwards.
You know, when it comes to DLC, man, I mean,
that's a whole nother video.
It is a whole nother video. But I will say that a lot of these companies that are making these games, they really kind of bank on DLC because it's just the game. Most game companies, they seem to only break even, and that's not good enough, to be honest with you. So DLC kind of saves them from.
These are AAA titles too, right?
Yeah, AAA titles mostly. Yeah.
So I think like if Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge, I would feel like that's a complete game. I mean, that's sprite work. That's a lot of work they put into that game. So I feel like that game's complete. There's not really any need for DLC unless there's like an unfinished level they didn't complete. They could add on later or something. That's fine. But something like a fighting games, I feel like, like how they piece out the new characters, that really brings new life into that game. Even though I don't like that practice, I won't even buy fighting games like that anymore unless I know it's a complete package. Like Street Fighter 5,
dude.
Exactly.
Worst example of a way to launch a game. You're going to charge me $59, and then when you actually put in characters, you're going to charge me for those characters.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to give Street Fighter crap for this reason, because if you look at it, me, you, all of us, we're old enough to understand this. Capcom was doing that when they started, but they didn't have the option to download a game. You had to go buy your Street Fighter Turbo. You had 6 copies of Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 New Champions. Yeah. Every edition had improvements and new characters, right?
But at least that first edition had characters.
Well, yeah, you have the characters now.
That first release of Street Fighter 5, come on, tell me that wasn't some booty stuff right there.
Well, they were making. Kag, I gotta interrupt. Gotta interrupt on this. And they were making those different versions because they had to fix certain fighting systems that were in there and hitboxes,
correct,
which was a major thing. Now, but I get how you're kind of saying it. Yeah,
Street Fighter is not to blame so much on it. There's other games that came before that Street Fighter kind of to blame for that. One of them, Dead or Alive. They went to, you only got this amount of characters and you could play for free, and then you had to buy all the other characters. One of my favorite games of all time, Killer Instinct, did that. They gave you 2 characters
at the beginning.
Was it only 2? I thought it was just Jago.
No, it was 2. It was
Jago and Saberwolf.
Yeah, Saberwolf.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You could play with 2 characters.
Oh yeah, Killer Instinct. Oh man.
Buy the full game. You could go and buy the full game, but I kind of understand it. But to go back to the whole physical versus digital thing, I wanted to say, I think the biggest problem with the whole digital aspect of the game is the DRM side. Because just recently we all experienced it when the PlayStation Network that went down, the Xbox Network went down, games that we paid for, we didn't have access to. So it's like, if I pay for the game digitally, I should be able to play it even if I'm not connected to the internet. That's where people's fear comes in.
What's it called? Is it the DRM? Is that
DRM? I think honestly, if it all goes digitally, people will complain because you'll start to see it more, and then DRM will be a thing of the future as well. It's an evolution that has to happen.
Yes.
And I believe will happen. It has to. It's just not like the complaints that we have with digital. All of that could be solved with DRM. Like if Nintendo decided, hey, you're kicking offline, but you didn't lose your whole library, you'd be like, cool. I'll hop on Discord and talk to people or whatever.
People would be fine with digital. You are absolutely right. People would be fine with digital if DRM kind of really relaxed, and that's a problem right now, is not lax. And I think the narrative that they try to sell you on, we're protecting our property from people pirating or taking our stuff. There's a very small subset of the gaming community that does pirate versus the people that actually buy. So I don't think that's really a big way to sell it, because not a lot of people are doing that.
Also, actually, pirating, if your game's good, helps. like I'm a film director, right? My movie I got so sad when I got the stats that in China, my movie was on top 5 of independent films that was pirated. And it hadn't been released there yet. When it got released, it made a killing. It made more money than the United States, Latin America, and other countries that we had released in before combined. So like I always have this weird view of pirating now because is it wrong? Yes, that'll always be the view. But as far as the marketing, sometimes people are like, dude, you ever see this movie? And they didn't. And they go, oh, I heard about this.
Yeah.
Hey, did you play that? I'm playing this game on the Switch. They pirated, but maybe that word of mouth will get 5 other people to buy the copy. And I'm not condoning piracy, guys, please. I don't want that. But I'm just saying, sometimes it's promotion.
So I'd like to bring the conversation back to Kag's Switch collection.
Yeah.
We'll go back there.
Okay. And I'm not trying to be like Psychologist X, but I am Professor X. And I'd like us to like look at a picture. So if, Reggie, when you edit this, spicy in a picture of Kag's Switch collection.
All right.
To me, Kag, I think it was so easy for you to throw away. Okay, it's not throw away, but give away the Switch collection based off of something that we gloss over. And it's literally the visual presentation of a Switch collection. All the cases
I don't know, his Switch collection looked pretty impressive to me. I was like, I'll take it.
It didn't. To me, it didn't.
To me, it did. To me, I was like, damn.
So check this out. Joel, it's a lot of games, but it's boring to look at. Imagine just this red wall. Every time you see Switch games, they're all red. They're all the same with white text. They're skinny. I'll get to your PS2. I'll get to your PS2 in a sec. But Switch, it's just there. There's nothing that stands out to you that says, yo, let me grab this off the shelf. Even as you look right next to you, Joel, and you look at your GameCube collection that's right next to you, the titles, the spine of it have color to them that you know what a game looks like. Even when we go hunting at Goodwills or
no, I totally understand that. You wouldn't need the title to identify the game. Is basically the problem with the Switch collection.
Yeah.
So with my Switch collection, not to cut you off, X.
Okay.
When it comes down to me being indifferent about selling it, you want to know the reason why it was so easy to sell it, and this is right here. It's because of you guys. You want to know why I say that? It's because we don't play the Switch. When we stream, where do we play? PlayStation or Xbox recently.
Yeah.
We don't play the Switch. We played the Switch one time.
And it was a disaster because the online is so bad on the Switch.
It was. And all of my friends, they're on the Switch, but they're not sending me an invite. Let's go jump into this. Let's play this. Let's play that. That's not the Switch's selling point. The Switch's selling point, I really think, is what they market it as, a portable AAA console. People like to have those games as a game that they can take with them. So the Switch to me has always seemed like I have a PlayStation and a Switch. I have an Xbox and a Switch. It's never I have a Switch and my secondary system is this. That's kind of how I always viewed the Switch. Now don't get me wrong, amazing games on that console. Zelda A Link to the Past. I can't stop raving about that game. I absolutely love the remaster of that game. I will still play it. But what it came down to when I looked at it, I wasn't playing it. So many games are still, and my friends are not playing with me on that console. Right. So it's really no reason for me to just keep it there because I wasn't utilizing that. And I was like, hey, let's get it to somebody that would.
But I'd like to add more into that, Kag. And going back to my point of how it visually looks, you're acquiring right now Neo Geo, Japanese Neo Geos.
Yep.
Correct. AGS or MBS? Correct me on this one. AES. All right. Big books, big shells, right? Mm-hmm. Beautiful spine. They're numbered. They have the big letters that say on their Neo Geo. That looks good on a shelf. That makes you want to reach for something to play. And that's something physical. And then from a collector's standpoint, right? Kag, that's something impressive to have up on a shelf. Mm-hmm. A Switch collection, it's just like, okay, you have a bunch of Switch games, but even from a distance, nothing speaks out to anyone.
See, I I can't believe I'm going to defend the Switch because I thought you just sold it because the Switch sucks. But if you want to pay $59 to play The Binding of Isaac instead of $4 on the PlayStation, that's your own deal. But what I'll say is, dude, as a collector, I'm always like, and I agree, the Neo Geo is awesome. Like, if you have a Neo Geo collection, I have no games, 0, right? If you have the room for the Neo Geo collection, even more awesome. As a collector, I'm always going, I need more room. I need more room.
Oh yeah.
And I like the sleekness and I like the smallness of the Nintendo Switch. Like, if you're a Nintendo Switch collector, like as a collector, because you use that phrase, as a collector, me as a collector, I'm like, I can see the benefit of having a Nintendo Switch collection because of how small it is and stuff like that.
Right.
Yes, it's not like you're not going to be able to identify it except by the title. You're going to have to read it. That better be alphabeticalized, or it's going to take you a long time to find that game.
Well, okay,
I totally agree with you 100%. But I think what Kag is saying is more important, because it's like, hey, what's fun for you? Who are you gaming with? We have a whole community. When we stream, you know, no one's ever like, hey, do you have that on Switch so I can hop on? No one ever says that. People are like, what are you on, PS1 or PS5 or Xbox? And then they jump on with us. It's never like, hey, is this on the Switch so we can play it? We played one time with one person on the Switch, and that was your wife, Dead by Daylight. I think that's the only time we brought in another person on the Switch. And that's cool. Like, things are cross-platform now. Like, you don't, you know, it's like,
and you want the best quality when it's on a cross-platform, and that's not coming from the Switch.
And so, to add this in there real quick,
we should let Reggie talk. It's been a while.
No, go ahead, Kag. Go ahead.
To add this in there real quick is a purchase that I made this year also influenced it. You guys know what I'm about to say. That had a little bit of an influence for it. My Steam Deck. My Steam Deck has changed my mind on digital all the way. My whole Steam library is with me now on the go. If I leave the house, everything I have in Steam is to go. And to go to your point, Joel, Binding of Isaac, right? You know, it's $3, right? You know, $4 in the store. So I went to just recently buy Wallachia. So I had Wallachia on the Switch, thanks to my friend Reggie. I love that game, by the way. So it ended up going in a collection. It was a casualty, right, of the collection. But I went to GameVO.com and I bought Wallachia for $4 on the Steam Deck.
Exactly.
So I have it back in my collection, and
still portable.
I can access it. It's still portable. I can now play it on my PC or my Steam Deck. So I didn't lose access to it. So that also the Steam Deck did play another part, not as big of a part, but it did play a part in how I viewed the Switch, because a lot of what I play, I can still now play on the go on the Steam Deck. So, you know, things are changing for me. I would never thought I would say it, that digital is becoming more of a option for me, because I was like, I'm a super heavy physical guy, but now I'm starting to see the benefit, as long as I don't experience the downsides of it, which I haven't done so far. I haven't lost any access to anything or anything like that, thank God. But as long as I don't start to experience those things, and then you can also buy DRM free games for your Steam Deck, which I didn't know was a thing either. Now I'm starting to learn a lot more as I look into it. Now I can move that game and put it on my hard drive on my PC, back it up, play it anytime I want, and it has nothing to do with online access. So it's starting to change for me.
I wanted to ask you guys though, for your Switch system, like, what do you use it as a console or mostly a portable? Because me, I never use my Switch as a console. It was always a portable system for me. Yeah. But I found a lot of the people who watch my channel, they use theirs as freaking like a dock and like a main system. I would never use my system like that. You know, it's very rare. So I was wanting to know how you guys use your Switch. Is it mostly portable or is it? I use
them as both. Every time it's at home, of course, it's on a dock, but I love to travel and use that thing anywhere I want to go. But it also depends on the game I'm playing. Animal Crossing, you can go anywhere. You can sit somewhere and chill, and it's cool. And it's more so like, do you want to be outside with this thing? I don't feel like the Switch is too fragile. I know everyone says they're worried about like the rails when they hold it, but I don't feel it's too fragile. And the battery life is really good. Like it will last you for a good while. The screen is really bright. So I use mine a lot when I go out.
You know,
but
it's
I
weird.
love also having to dock. And I will say another thing too is that when you go to a friend's house and everyone wants to play, that's like the time when everyone's bringing their Switch around.
Yeah. Well, a strange thing for me is that, you know, like I can take the Switch anywhere easily, but like my Vita, PSP, or any other portables, I don't want to take them out of the house because I don't want them to get damaged or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're more like legacy consoles.
I get that.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Switch. If it
Like
falls,
when I had my Vita, I was always like in the case with the thing to protect it because I don't want it to get scratched. I just want it to stay beautiful because it's retro, right? Like it's a collector's item at this point.
The Switch, not so much, man. I'm like, oh, whatever.
But mine is always in my dock. Like, okay, like if you think about I bought it on day one. So if we take the 6 times I've played it since then, they've always been a dock. And I don't play games on the go. You know, usually when I'm on the go, I'm doing things. So it's really hard to play with it. You know, I have a laptop. If I find any free time, I'm waiting for my kids to get out of dance or something. I'm usually writing a script, getting something else done, stuff like that. So for me, portable gaming, it's that's a preference that I just can't, or a luxury I can't do. I don't do it very like that.
So for me, it was always portable, always in my hand. See, I have a thing with the Switch. Okay, so personally, I think it looks better when you have it playing in your hand and blown up on that TV behind me. You see,
it's 100% true.
If I'm going to sit in front of that TV behind me, which is an OLED, I'm playing that Series X you see there or that PS5. I will never play the Switch on that TV. I will sit in front of that TV and play the Switch in my hand, and I think it looks better. I think the contrast and the pixels look sharper on the Switch screen, and I think when I get on the big screen, sometimes it looks a little more blurry and washed out because I don't know what the TV's doing.
Especially if you have 4K TV because it's got to res it so much, you know.
So I was always portable with it. I can be right in front of the dock and in front of the TV, and I'm always going to have it in my hand playing it. So I was portable.
Okay.
Also, Reggie, when I was sick, whether I had COVID or whether I was just sick in general, man, I loved being in the bed, just playing on Switch.
Okay, makes sense.
He was playing BB and Tina.